Now, one thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and read the divine constitution and bylaws. Brother Jackson Bay, would you please read that for us?
Islam. I rise giving perfect praise to Allah, honest to the Prophet, True Ali, honest to our ancestors, our forefathers, our foremothers, honest to the Asiatic nations, and honest to the Muslims in the core, in the temple, and around the world. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. Harmony. All meetings are to be open and closed properly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer, Allah, the father of the universe, the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
All right, gratitude, more gratitude. Appreciate you, brother Cole Bay. Would you please read the writs of the prophet?
Islam. I rise and give honor to the great God Allah. I rise and give honors to our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I rise and give honors to our forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I rise and give honors to all Moors on attendance on this holy day and all Muslims on the planet. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is instruction from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Jew Ali, and that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they'll be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now about the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy, and because of my fame and nobility, the nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cardin button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Jew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Moors. Love you, Moors. Happy New Year's, Moors.
All right, Islam, brother. Gratitude, gratitude, and happy Holy Day, Moors. Happy Holy Day. For those that are new to this, we always gather on the sixth day, the holy day. Um, Not gonna pull up this chart, but I'll just give you a visuals of why we do this from a spiritual perspective. You have the Kabbalah tree of life, and counting down from the top of the tree, when you get to the sixth spear, You're actually at a point where in that sixth sphere, it's in between the physical and the spiritual realm. All right. And that's where we're at right now. We're in the sixth day. That's where man is actually in the Kabbalah. Man is in the sixth sphere, in the sixth day. And that's why we hold to this. We're not just doing it, excuse me, just for no reason. There's mystical reasons, ancient wisdom in this, why we hold to the holy day. And we practice, we learn our laws, we go over our civics for our society. One thing we are going to be doing is reading over chapter 41 today. And of course, speaking on it, taking any questions on that. And then we'll just open the floor up to questions in general. All right. So, don't feel shy or anything. If you have anything you want to say or any questions, um, hang on 1 minute. All right. All right. So for all the Moors on the call, we are on page 50. Yeah, page 50 in the Holy Quran, chapter 41, holy instructions from the prophet, inconstancy. Um, I know probably sound like a robot because I always say this, but at the top of all the pages, excuse me, all of the pages in our Holy Quran, it says the divine instructions, and then it says from the prophet. All right. So everything in here contains our divine instructions, divine meaning of or from God. We have instructions in the beginning. It has the missing years of Jesus' life. And when we look at that, we don't look at it from a spooky perspective. We're looking at Jesus' life, the missing years, where he's showing how Allah is inside of him and inside of all of us. We're looking at that as a blueprint, right? On how we can rise up to our higher self and how we can subdue our lower self. And there's a reason for this, right? This is ancient wisdom. This is the same thing that we're practicing in all of the ancient cultures, no matter where you were in the world. But specifically, when you go to ancient Egypt, this is what they were practicing. This is what those in the know were practicing, right? They were studying how to master, how to subdue the lower self. Why was that important? Because when you can subdue the lower self, you can accomplish anything, right? That's how you bring out God in you. And so when we go to the beginning of the Quran, the first almost the first half of it, little less than half, it's about the missing years of Jesus' life, but it's giving you the blueprint because basically everything that he did, you can do in greater. All right. So we study that, and that's on a personal level, how to bring out God within. Then we have instructions for us to apply to our entire community, our society, right? Because it's not good enough just to say that you're more, and we're still doing the same things that everybody else is doing, right? We can't do that, right? So we have to conduct our society by these same higher principles, and so we're given a blueprint so that we're not all just out here just winging it on our own. Like, oh, I'm gonna just do this. Excuse my vernacular. I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna just do it my way. It's like no. We have a set of guidelines and divine principles. We have five divine principles, the five highest principles known to man. Anyone know what those are?
Islam, that's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, Islam. So we have the five highest principles known to man, which um, we are to guide our thoughts and actions by these principles. And then we have laws. We have divine laws and divine instructions for how to conduct ourselves and our society. so that success is guaranteed. And then, which we're getting up to, we're still working on self here with this chapter on inconstancy. But then when you get into the next few chapters that we're going to into, like I'll read just some of the titles. We have the divine origin of the Asiatic nations in chapter 45, the beginning of Christianity, right? Because we're returning Christianity to Rome, to the Europeans, because it's for their earthly salvation, and Islam's for our earthly and divine salvation. Then we have chapter 47, Egypt, the capital empire of the dominions of Africa, where our dominions are established and where the cat was let out of the bag way back in 1928. The cat was let out of the bag that we're from right over here and that we've been over here for who knows how long. That so long ago that our ancestors got permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to come and settle over here, and they were over here since before the Atlantic Ocean was created, since before the continents broke up. And we can trace ourselves back in time, because even with what's discussed in chapter 47, which, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. There's a lot of people just want to go straight there because that's cool. Oh man, yeah, we were over here for a long time. I mean, like, that sounds cool. That's like I used to just go straight to the revelations in the Bibles. I ain't like the Bible. I ain't like going to church. I ain't like any of that stuff, but I like hearing about the destruction in Armageddon, right? So it's cool to go here and to see, okay, the Moabites from the land of Moab received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. And then their dominion and habitation extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis unto the present North, South, and Central America and Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake which caused the Atlantic Ocean, right? That sounds cool, okay? But we can't just claim that and still be savage, which is what not all of us are completely in our lower selves, but that's what's pushed on us. What does being black mean, right? What does it stand for? Does being black mean that you can trust your children around other black people because they're not going to do anything to them? No, it doesn't. What do we stand for as a people, right? So you have to come in to your own. You have to leave this culture, this Western culture. You have to leave that and come into your own. So coming into our own from our perspective is coming in and being a Moorish American Muslim. And that means something. There's things that you're going to do and not do. As a Moorish American Muslim, if you're real, if you're true, you hold family up to the highest, right? That's you're not going to, taking care of your family, right? Making sure that your children, your wife or husband, everyone's good. That's going to be your top priority, right? If anybody was able, hopefully everybody was here. Most of us were when the Constitution was read, right? It's in our Constitution. So if the mainstream culture is pushing division between the so-called black man and black woman, we're not going with that. If they're acting like it's cool for us to just have families out of wedlock, we're not even trying to be together and seeing it as important to protect our children and make sure that they're good. If that's what they're pushing, we're not going for it because we're Moorish American Muslims. So that's why we have to come in and we have to learn this and we have to practice it. Because if we don't, then you're still taking the Negro mentality, but trying to claim this. Oh, we've been here forever. We Moors. Ain't going to be in the same predicament, right? So the change has to be real. Your actions, and then how we govern ourselves as a collective. Okay. And not only did the prophets actually set up the government for us in the society, but he gave us laws and divine principles, divine instructions, which we hold to. And so that is something that can't be carried out. Then the last chapter, the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. All right. So those are the things that sound cool and everybody wants to claim. And in this, we can trace ourselves, all of this, by being Moorish Americans, just with this being over here since before the great earthquake, which caused the Atlantic Oceans. We actually have records, eyewitness accounts that were written in hieroglyphs that told of this happening by people who witnessed it. You have the people who are in North Africa, like I guess you could say the Berber people, who are Moors, who have these accounts of the cataclysms happening and the people getting split up, some lands sinking. Then over here, you had the Olmec people who wrote about this. They actually wrote about it. And the Troano stone, or excuse me, the Troano manuscript was a scroll that had this story where they talked about this happening. They witnessed people dying, some people getting separated, lands sinking, lands rising. They witnessed it and they wrote about it. And it's hidden away in some museum in London. And they don't tell you any of this in school. Okay? And so now the information's out. The cat's out the bag. The prophet let us know this almost 100 years ago, and they didn't teach us. Why? Because it was our job to do it. We were supposed to set up our civilization, our cities, our schools, and re-educate ourselves, and then eventually re-educate the whole world. Because we're supposed to be the teachers of it all. And that's how come right now, even in our lower state, even after suffering through the crack epidemic, where our societies are dysfunctional, extremely dysfunctional. It's so dysfunctional that we have so many issues with trust and crime and things like that. And even in our lower state now, we're still leading the world. We can be out here rapping about the most horrible things on earth, and people who don't even speak our language and understand us are singing along, right? Trying to be like us. I just saw some video, some dude is like, he's in Brazil and he's trying to make trap music. And he was just like, the hook was in English and then the rest he's speaking Portuguese. It's like, what are you doing? I used to live in Brazil. Like, that's not their culture at all. But I'm just saying, they see us and they want to be us all over the world, whether they look like us or not, even in places like Japan. So what that means is right now, we're not acting like gods. We're not acting like Moors. We're acting like Negroes. And I'm not trying to, diss anybody on here, act like we're all bad. I'm not trying to put us down, just being real. Like, as a collective, we're not at our heights. We're not. And we're still influencing the world. Why? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. So what we were supposed to do when the prophet came and set it all up for us was keep it going. And then teach our own, and then eventually teach the whole world what time it really is. All right. So now it's on us. Okay. So you can't just get the knowledge that's out there and say, oh, I'm going to run with it. Yeah, we're the Moors. We're ancient. No, you have to clean yourself up. I have to clean myself up. And we have to abide by these divine instructions, right? We can't skip over that because this tells you how to subdue your lower self and how to reveal God within. And it's not always easy. But if you take the easy route, you're not going to get the prize, right? You got to unveil God within, and that means you got to subdue the lower self. I'm looking for this meme, this ancient Egyptian meme, kind of visuals, work better probably than how I'm explaining it. But we have to unveil Allah within each of us. And that's what the prophet ultimately, that's what the prophet gave us with Islamism by returning this to us. That's why we say we're returning to our ancient ways. We're not knocking Arabs or people from other countries, but that's not what we're doing. We're not going to that. We're not going to copy their customs and their way of practicing, because we have a prophet from Allah, who came to us from amongst us, from North Carolina, who returned us to the root. So we don't have to copy anyone else. And that's why you can't leave out these divine instructions, because it's all about subduing that lower self, and that's how you unveil God within. Each time you take another step towards subduing your lower nature, you unveil more of God within, or God within is, it's stronger because more of it is apparent, more of it is obvious, right? It's hidden within. So you want to pull it out, and that's what we're doing. And here, okay, good, found it. So this is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. Let me pull that up for you. Right. So hopefully you can see the screen. If you can't, I mean, I'll read it. It's just got the pharaoh. It's got the sarcophagus, and on the outside of some of the sarcophagus, in Egypt, the pharaoh, you had like the pharaoh in gold, and they're holding the staff, the shepherd's staff, and the flail that they would use to beat the animals. All right, and so from a mystical perspective, metaphysical perspective, right? Looking at this, the Egyptian Gnosis, how to subdue your lower animal self. That's what it was all about. And that's why the Pharaoh is holding these tools for dealing with the beast. The Pharaoh holds the twin opposites, the shepherd's staff, which is mercy, and the flail, severity. And he's holding them both in balance. And you use both of those to subdue animals. And so that everything that they're doing is symbolic. Nothing is being done. It's just for no reason at all. We don't just do it because it sounds cool or because it's a fad. And that's also why, just real quick, why in our Quran, why we study this every week, why even our Constitution, which is just one page, we study it every week. We actually study it twice a week. Why? Because nothing, no symbols on there, no words on there are to be overlooked. Everything is done for reason, for meaning. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali really was an Egyptian adept. He's using signs and symbols. Why? Because signs and symbols speak to the conscious mind or the subconscious mind. It goes straight to your subconscious, even if you don't know what it means. So we don't overlook any of that. We do have to go over this because sometimes I might read it and I might not gain a deeper meaning until I've gone through something or until I've looked at it 2 or 3 times. Same way with you. And so with that symbol of the pharaoh on the sarcophagus holding those tools for subduing the animal, right? The shepherd's staff, that's mercy. They just put it around the animal's neck gently without hurting them. Maybe they're stuck in some thorns or something. They pulling them out there, getting them away from danger. And then the flails used to beat them into submission. And then mastering these tools, these symbols, means mastering your lower animal nature to find your true self. What is the true self? Spirit man. What is spirit man? Allah in you. And so that's ultimately what this is all about. And think about it. Think about how powerful that is. By the Prophet returning this power to you of who you truly are, giving us the tools to work on it as a collective, not just you over here trying to do it on yourself and by yourself. No, as a collective, as a community, like we're really working on this. Now nobody can stop us. Who can oppress God, right? No one. And so that's what it's truly about. And so that's why I was saying too, in our lower status that we're in right now, we're still influencing the world. I was just talking to someone else who was saying that, like, it's not like everybody's, singing calypso or something like that, salsa, right? I mean, these things are popular, but no, it has nothing on rap and whatever like Rihanna's and Beyonce's putting out. No, that stuff is universal. It's global. Everyone stops and pays attention. And it's not just music. Pretty much anything we do, we rise to the top. We rise to the top. And Islam, brother. And so, we're doing it in our lower status. So imagine what we can do when we come in and be who we truly are. We will lead the world. We will lead them too to get right and to do this as well to with their lower self. We will lead the way. And actually, by people paying attention to us even in our lower status, that means that they want to see us do right so that they can get right. Okay, and I don't mean to say that like the whole world is underneath us or anything. Is there's no big eyes or little U's. It's just this. It is what it is. Like we have to step up to the plate and lead now. We fell. You know how they say the first should be the last and the last should be the first. Like that's what it is. It's time for us to rise up. And with that comes responsibility. Right. This is the hard part now, and it's not really hard. We do have to study and actually put these principles into action and work on ourselves. You can't go to sleep when it's time to read stuff like uh holy instructions from the prophet Inconstancy, right? That's not time to go to sleep. That's when it's time to read this and to say, well, if you don't know what something means, to look over it again and ask some questions, maybe to get out a dictionary and to really go in, because just like the symbols on that sarcophagus, nothing in here is just done just by chance. With what I was reading earlier from chapter 47, the prophet, I don't even know what level his education was. I'm I'm sure he didn't graduate high school. All right. And so for him to know that we're the ancients and all of these things that weren't being taught to anyone, and he's, probably from the country in North Carolina, like for him to notice, and then he was alive in Jim Crow days. Does everybody know what that means? Because they were literally hanging people that look like us, right? I talked to my granddad. He saw people, being lynched in his lifetime, and that's terrible. But the prophet was alive when this was going on. And our cities that were prospering, like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and there were actually several of these places all over the country that came under attack. He was witnessing that. And in the midst of that, they were creating Moorish communities where they were owning property and coming up, and nobody was messing with them. And it's not just because they were gangster, because some of the Moors were like gangster, but that's not the only reason why. All right, it's how they were moving. Okay, and I say this to say that from a mainstream perspective, he shouldn't have known that what he knew. All right, so he brought this information to us without the internet, and so we do honor him for that. You can't forget that. It's easy to just overlook it now, but that's not the case. And so, yes, we actually hold to this and we study it and keep going over it because we can't overlook any of these instructions. Islam. So we're about to go ahead and read this, and I'd say in light of that, if you do have questions, speak up, right? Because none of us knows everything, and we all gain insight and learn because some of the things that other people are thinking, you may be the only one that's actually speaking up and saying it, or you may bring some insight to something that we haven't seen. All right. Um, so that's page 50 in the Holy Quran. Holy instructions from the Prophet, inconstancy. Nature urgeth thee to inconstancy, O man. Therefore, guard thyself at all times against it. Thou art from the womb of thy mother, various and wavering from the loins of thy father, inheriteth thou instability. How then shalt thou be firm? Those who gave thee a body furnished it with weakness, but he who gave thee a soul armed thee with resolution. All right. So he asked the question is asked, but then the answer is given right there because it's saying, how should How shall you be firm when we inherit some of these weaknesses? It's just inherent in man, right? You get it from your mother and your father. But those who gave thee a body furnished it with weakness, but he who gave thee a soul, who gave you a soul? The soul came from the spirit. The spirit is Allah in man. He armed thee with resolution. Employ it, and thou art wise. Be wise, and thou art happy. Let him who doeth well beware how he boasteth of it, for rarely as it is of his own will. Is not the event of an impulse from without, born of uncertainty, enforced by accident, dependent on someone else, on somewhat else? To thee and to accident is due the praise. Uh, Beware of irresolution in the intent of thy actions. Beware of instability in the execution. So shalt thou triumph over two great failings of thy nature. Um, and also, just want to pause too. If anybody has anything you want to share or add, you know, you know what? Feel free to just unmute and feel free to speak up.
Islam. Do you know the definition of the exact definition of resolution or irresolution so we could better understand verse 6?
Nope. Let's bring it up. Hang on. Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, that's one thing. You know, just don't be scared to speak up. We need to look these words up. We need to take it serious. Hang on. All right. So let's go to the 1828 dictionary. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for irresolution, we have want of resolution, want of decision in purpose, a fluctuation of mind, as in doubt or between hope and fear. All right, let's pull up resolution too. All right, okay, so they had like 12 definitions. I'm just gonna read the first one. The act, operation, or process of separating the parts which compose a complex idea or a mixed body. Thus, the act of reducing any compound or combination to its component parts, analysis as the resolution of complex ideas, the resolution of any material substance by chemical operations. All right. Also says determination of a cause in a court of justice. All right. So irresolution, the want of resolution, want of decision and purpose, a fluctuation of mind, as in doubt or between hope and fear. All right. So for the most part, yeah, doubt, not being able to make up your mind, not being able to make decisions. Islam. All right. So let's go back in there
So
and see.
it's my bad. Islam. I just gonna say so like be ensuring your actions. That's how you avoid failure, avoid failing. Islam.
Islam. Islam. So we're giving that warning, two warnings actually. All right, and let me read five before that. Is not the event of an impulse from without, born of uncertainty, enforced by accident, dependent on somewhat else. To thee and to accident is due the praise. And then verse 6, beware of irresolution in the intent of thy actions, beware of instability in the execution. So shalt thou triumph over two great failings of thy nature. All right. So um, this is the nature that we inherit, as people, as humans, right? The human nature. the instability, and the irresolution, the inability to make a decision, right? What reproacheth reason more than to act contrarieties? Let me, let me pull that up too, because that's a word we don't really use. Um, hang on. All right. So opposition in fact, essence, quality, or principle, repugnance, and inconsistency, quality or position destructive of its opposite. All right. So going back in here to verse 7. What reproacheth reason more than to act contrarieties? Contrarieties. What can suppress the tendencies to these but firmness of mind? All right. The inconstant feeleth that he changeth, but he knoweth not why. He seeth that he escapeth from himself, but he perceiveth not how. Be thou incapable of change in that which is right, and men will rely upon thee. Islam. So if you're incapable to change of change when it comes to what's right, in order for you to be incapable of change in that which is right, you have to know which is right. You have to have principles that you hold yourself to. You can't be down for whatever. And that's actually what's been pushed on us as a people for the longest. And it actually it took a while to get us to that point because like if you go back in time, just looking at our history, just like our recent history, if you're looking at like the 20s and 30s, we weren't perfect. I mean, we had drug addicts and we had criminals and things like that, but it wasn't cool. It We had thugs, but it wasn't cool. They were not talked about. They weren't held up in esteem. When the people weren't wearing it, face on a t-shirt like free whoever. He got locked up. They weren't doing that. And I mean, it just I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying like it wasn't like cool at all. Okay? Like in the 20s and 30s, it was not cool to to be a criminal or any of that stuff. Like we had principles. And we started to, you know, um, lose those principles over time. And if you go fast forward all the way up to the 80s, our community was ravaged with crack cocaine. That came through and it messed up a lot of family households and it kind of took away the values and things for a lot of people. And so here we are now where, it's a lot of people think it's cool to be a thug or to be a criminal. And there's no shame in any of that. And a lot of us are down for whatever. If the media wants to push a gay agenda, homosexual agenda, not knocking anybody for their preference, whatever, but if they want to push that on us, there's people who's going to be cool with it, right? They want men to wear tight pants or whatever. We'll do it, even though men aren't even supposed to be following fads. Like, we're not really supposed to be like that concerned with fads and things like that. But hey, we're down for whatever. Why? Because we don't have principles. We don't have laws and things that we conduct and carry ourselves by. And if you don't have that, you'll fall for anything, right? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Isn't that a saying? So it's the same as what it says here. Be thou incapable of changing that which is right, and men will rely upon thee. Because why? Because well, here in Western civilization, people, a lot of people, unless they have like some type of values, maybe they're like a Mormon or something like that, or the Amish, right? They're not just going for whatever. They don't care what we're doing. They're gonna do their thing. and they really take the Bible seriously. And it's a good thing that they're Christians because that makes them better people. You know, they're not going to be trying to sell drugs or do X, Y, and Z. That makes them, you know who you're dealing with without even knowing them because they hold to the Bible and that's their law. And so it's important. So, um, and then right above that, it says divine instructions from the Holy Prophet. So we have the key to be incapable of changing that which is right. Um, Establish unto thyself principles of action and see that thou ever act according to them. And so, we have divine principles that can guide us and help us govern ourselves in our everyday life and all the choices that we have to make. Um, so shall thy passions have no rule over thee. So shall thy constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possesseth, and drive from thy door misfortune. Anxiety and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gates. And so these are invisible tools, right? It's giving you instructions, but they're invisible, but they're still relatable to this stuff, these things that you see here, right? Because if you're listening to this and you're looking and thinking in that with that visual, that symbol that's up there, right? These are the tools. It says, so shall thy passions have no rule over thee, right? If you're ruled by your passions, just a real simple example. If you're just looking at a woman for her body parts and you're just like an animal and you don't even see nothing wrong with that, being a savage beast, right? You're going to wind up maybe one day getting some woman pregnant who's not even cool. Like you can't even stand her. But the only reason you was with her because you ruled by your passions. And so now you got a child with someone that you can't stand, who's, probably going to put you on child support. And it just leads to misfortune and pain and misery and stress. And that's not even that bad because it could be way worse. There's other passions that you have that could get you in even way worse trouble, right? And so these tools that we're given, it's not something to overlook. I mean, like in the blink of an eye, could make life a lot more difficult than it has to be, right? And so, going back in, so it's not cool to be ruled by your passions at all, right? Because that's basically it puts you on a level with the beast, like you're savage. So, and I'm not talking to anybody here, not saying you're savage. Like I'm savage. Like we're all savage if we rule by our passions. So so shall thy passions have no rule over thee. So shall thy constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possesseth. Right? So the only way to really see the good in you is to have rule over that lower self. You can't overlook that. Can't just say I'm God. It's not good enough. Um um, and drive from thy door misfortune. Anxiety and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gates. Right. So when you master the lower self, all of these things start to disappear from our lives. All of these issues and problems and drama and um, suspect not evil in anyone until thou seeth it. When thou seeth it, forget it not. Right. So that's simple. It's easy to remember when someone has done wrong and when you see that someone's not right. Whoso so hath been an enemy cannot be a friend, for man mendeth not his faults. How should his actions be right who hath no rule of his life? Nothing can be just which proceedeth not from reason. So if someone's not even trying to, to get themselves right, right, there's no way they can do right by you. And so this too, like if you're trying to get in a relationship with someone, like you like to get with dudes and fix them up, it's like if he's not even trying to get himself right, he don't even care enough to get himself together, to not be savage, right? Like, of course he's gonna like do you wrong and do all this stuff to you. You can't cry to anyone when it happens. Just that's what I get from this. Basically what's being said, right? The inconstant hath no peace in his soul, neither can be at ease whom he concerneth himself with. So, if he don't have peace in his soul, and what does the lower self do? It's traveling the earth doing what? Seeking whom it may devour. Period. And the lower self is not Satan walking around with horns and all this crazy stuff. That's each and every one of us. It's just like in the Matrix, right? With Agent Smith. It's everybody. It's everyone. it's not just the bad guy. It's everybody, right? And anyone could be Satan, devil, dragon, beast. Anyone could be that. All right. So if they're not trying, working like this symbol, working to subdue that lower self, the animal self, the beast, that means they're traveling the earth to and fro, seeking whom they may devour. All right. And, they might be well meaning, but they mean you harm. They can't help it because it's stuck in that lower self. Excuse me. The inconstant hath no peace in his soul, neither can be at ease whom he concerneth himself with. His life is unequal. His motions are irregular. His soul changeth with the weather. Today he loveth thee, tomorrow thou art detested by him. And why? Himself knoweth not where he now hateth. Wherefore he now hateth. Sorry. Today he is the tyrant. Tomorrow thy servant is less humble. And why? He who is arrogant without power will be servile while there is no subjection. Today he is profuse, tomorrow he grudgeth unto his mouth that which it should eat. Thus it is with him who knoweth not moderation. Who shall say of the camel lion, he is black, when the moment after the verdure of the grass overspreadeth him? I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Islam is
Wow.
that's chameleon.
Oh, it's chameleon. Because I think the camel lion. No, I was thinking of the ant lion.
Islam is
That's an error. We have an error.
nah, it's just chameleon. That's
Yeah, maybe that's the old
it
spelling.
reads like that. It reads like that. I don't know. Look, you can still look it up, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of the ant lion because isn't that like I think they like dig a hole in the ground and they eat all the ants that come out. I don't know. So yeah, that must be like an old spelling of chameleon or an error or something, man. Because yeah, that don't make any sense. But chameleon makes sense there. Thank you. I was about to say, man, I'm not even gonna lie, that makes no sense. I don't get it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, the chameleon. Who shall say of the chameleon he is black when the moment after the verdure of the grass overspreadeth him? Who shall, who shall say of the inconstant he is joyful when his next breath shall be spent in sighing? What is the life of such a man but the phantom of a dream? In the morning he riseth happy, at noon he is on the rack. This hour he is a god, the next below the worm. One moment he laugheth, the next he weepeth. He now willeth in an instant, he willeth not. And in another, and and in another he knoweth not whether he willeth or not. And for a man to be like this, like you're gonna be by yourself, cause like man, even just if there's like even just one occasion where like I don't know, I'm not sure where we want to go and eat, like my wife is gonna be like angry, like I have to know all the time. I have to know exactly what we're about to do, where we're going, what we do. Yeah, I know, I got it. You can't be like this as a man. You have to be on point, like for real. You can't be down for whatever. You have to be certain like a rock. Seriously. All right. Um,
Teach, Sheik.
Islam. Yet neither ease nor pain have fixed themselves on him, neither is he waxed greater or become less. Neither hath he had cause for laughter or reason for his sorrow. Therefore shall none of them abide with them. The happiness of the inconstant is as a palace built on the surface of the sand. The blowing of the wind carrieth it away, or carrieth away its foundation. What wonder then that it falleth? So where do you get the 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 true foundation from, right? Because it's saying the happiness of the inconstant, there's always up and down, you know, um, always changing your moods, right? In the very beginning, where it says, "Thou art from the womb of thy mother, various and wavering, from the loins of thy father inherited thou instability. Who then shall be firm?" And then it says, "Those who gave thee a body furnished it with what? With weakness." That's in verse 3. "But he who gave thee a soul armed thee with resolution. Employ it and thou art wise. Be wise and thou art happy." So you want to strengthen this. You want to strengthen your connection with your soul, with the spirit. This is where you get the resolution from. This is where you get your strength from. And that's the unseen. So this is also why we work on subduing the lower self so that we can bring out Allah within. And the lower self is everything bodily, everything dealing with bodily functions and passions and desires. We have to subdue these types of thoughts, these type of things that come into play. They need to be in their proper status. For for many people, that's all that they run on. And that's why all of these things are being described to us, the being up and down, and how it's like a palace built on the surface of sand. Islam, I see a hand raised. All right, Islam, brother, you have the floor. Also, please state where you are calling from.
Islam.
Islam.
This is Brother Scott Bay calling out of Pennsylvania Republic.
All right, Islam, you have the floor, brother.
Thank you for having me on, Sheik. I appreciate it once again. So I guess this was definitely meant for me. Um, for whatever reason, I thought about coming on. I'm glad I did. And this chapter that you're reading about is exactly what's going on with me, more or less. I looked up passion because I heard you say passion, and before today, I was thinking passion was really something good. But I guess when I looked it up, definition, it said it's an old Latin word that means suffer. So with that, I just wanted to bring that on the floor. Peace and love. Islam.
Islam. Wow. Wow. That's powerful right there. Like you just said, that's something that we associate with, with I guess you could almost say with love or with making love. It's not something that we see in a negative light, right? But yeah, it really is to suffer because from our perspective as Muslims, right? True Muslims. Now, a Moorish American Muslim is a mystic. You're getting into the ancient Egyptian mindset, the ancient Olmec mindset. You're understanding that to be ruled by your passions, by your desires, means that you are stuck in your lower aspect, the lower aspect of you, which is the consciousness that keeps this body alive. And that's why it's called the animal self. It's here and it has a purpose. It's not our enemy. It's not really the enemy. But since it's sitting on the throne ruling, it's the enemy. You have to get it off of that throne. And it's not going to happen overnight. Like, this is all of us. We all need this. It's a process. It's a step-by-step process. Every time you gain more mastery over your lower self, you reveal more of your higher self. You reveal more of God within. It's like kind of chipping away the paint, and seeing what's actually underneath. Islam, another hands raised. Islam,
Is
more.
Islam, first and foremost, I would like to rise and and give perfect praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, honors to his prophet Nabu Ali, and honors to all you Moors in attendance. I wanted to add on to what the brother said about passion. If we go back to chapter 5, Islam, and we look at the tools of workshop of the mind, we see passion. Islam, we see that we're supposed to use the compass to draw a circle around our passions, because our passions is part of the ego. Okay, so the ego is not bad. It helps us to survive and to, be who we are in this world, in this dense plane. So we need that here on earth. But we have to keep it in moderation, keep an eye on it so that it doesn't take us from our higher selves, our higher purposes. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude to you both. Since you mentioned that the square that we draw around the circle, I mean the compass that we use to draw the circle around our passions and desires, I want to just pull this up with the 12 virtues. Basically, we have the 12-step ladder. We have the tools to further subdue the lower self, and this is in alignment with that meme that was just up with the Egyptian pharaoh. And okay, so these are invisible tools, but this is what we use to control our own thoughts and actions, right? And each virtue that we master. How do we master them? Through 3 steps. Does anybody know those 3 steps?
Islam, belief, faith, and fruition.
Islam. So with each virtue that we attain, we further subdue our lower self. So even if you're just working on one virtue, say it's obedience or benevolence, or just say it's sincerity or charity, right? We just working on one virtue. When you actually master that virtue, you have attained, you have actually further unveiled a lot within you. You have further subdued your lower self. So it's not like it's a small thing or a little thing, right? This is big. And a lot of us, probably most of us, go through life without mastering any of these virtues. So even if you're just working on one, you're doing a great thing. And that's really all we have to do. Like what the prophet um, divinely prepared for us, what was returned to us, our divine instructions, they're not really hard. It's hard. It's some work because you could say we're in the world, right? We're not of the world, but we're in the world. But it's actually not hard. It's not asking too much of you. It's not like it's placing a burden on you that's too difficult. No, like a brother Jackson Bay would say, I think you were talking about some monks that go around whipping themselves. We're not asking anyone to do that. There was a boy in Kathmandu, right? This is like in the Hindu mountains, who went and sat under a tree for days. Like they called him the Buddha boy. You could look it up on the internet. Like he wasn't eating or anything, and that's why they called him the Buddha boy, right? And like he did this several times. And I'm not knocking that. Like who knows what type of insight he gained from that? But I'm just saying you don't have to do that, right? You're not being asked to do anything that's like placing a extreme burden on you. But the benefits are great, are immense. Okay. And one other thing too, just while we're on here, I just want to tell everybody, or just to mention this, give this a try tonight. When you go to sleep, give yourself a simple command to open your third eye. Tell your body what to do, right? You have mastery over it. Tell your body that you want to wake up in the middle of the night and open your third eye. So if you go into bed real late, it's probably not going to work, right? But if you in bed at a decent time and you tell yourself that, when you wake up, when you're like in deep sleep, you're just going to wake up for some reason. And when you do, Don't get up out of bed. Don't go to the bathroom or whatever. Just stay there and tell your third eye to open. All right. And do it. And the reason I say do this is because, Allah is within us all. And it's one thing to have faith and to believe that it's true, but it's another thing to know. And when you open your third eye consciously, and the reason you want to do it, if you want to know the science behind it, is because while you're asleep, when you're in deep sleep and your brain waves are in the theta brainwave state, your third eye is open. It's wide open. When you're dreaming and all that, it's wide open. And so you give your body the command to wake yourself up. When you wake up, you're still kind of out of it. Just tell your third eye to open. It will open. And you'll feel the connection to Allah. And you'll know that all this stuff is true. All right. And like, that's why I go hard with this, because I know it's true. And I know some of you do too. And I want us all to know. And that's why I'm saying, like, everybody, if able to do that, tell your third eye to open before you go to sleep. Give your body that command to wake you up and do that. Islam, as the sister said in the chat, tap in. Let's go back in here. Verse 23. Okay. The happiness of the inconstant is as a palace built on the surface of sand. The blowing of the wind carrieth away its foundation. What wonder then that it falleth? And remember, we know that true happiness, can't be based off of all of these worldly or physical things, right? And the true, your true foundation has to come from strengthening your connection or going within, revealing more of your higher self, right? Because it's saying in verse 3 that the soul is where you get your resolution from. All right? Not from mom and dad. Don't matter how strong mom or dad was. That's not where you get it from, right? Because their strength came from within. All right? They didn't inherit it from mom and dad or from grandma or granddad. They got it from within. Verse 24. But what exalted form is this that hitherward directs its uninterrupted course, whose foot is on earth, whose head is above the clouds. On his brow sitteth majesty. Steadiness is in his port, and in his heart reigneth tranquility. Though obstacles appear in his way, he deigneth not to look down upon them. Though heaven and earth oppose his passage, he proceedeth. So when you go within, when you begin to get strength from within, it doesn't matter what's going on around you, right? We're not swayed by any of this stuff. The drama that's being played out before us right now. They're attacking the Capitol. Like all of these things, the coronavirus, all of these things are going on. Doesn't matter. You're good regardless. It might be interesting, but it's entertainment. The mountains sink beneath his tread. The waters of the ocean are dried up under the sole of his foot. The tiger throweth herself across his way in vain. The spots of the leopard glow against him unregarded. He marcheth through the embattled legions. With his hands he putteth aside the terrors of death. Storms roar against his shoulders, but are not able to shake them. The thunder bursteth over his head in vain. The lightning serveth but to show the glories of his countenance. Right? So no obstacles can overcome us. The lightning shows the glory of his countenance. His name is resolution. He cometh from the utmost part of the earth. He seeth happiness afar off before him. His eyes discovereth her temple beyond the limits of the pole. He walketh up to it. He entereth boldly, and he remaineth there forever. Right? Happiness. He walketh up to it. He entereth boldly, and he remaineth there forever. Establish thy heart, O man, in that which is right, and then know the greatest of human is to be immutable. Immutable. So unchangeable, immutable, because the alchemists would transmute things to different, from gold that turn lead into gold. So you're to be immutable. Islam, your happiness doesn't depend on outside forces, right? You're resolute, you're calm, no matter what, and all of this comes from within Islam. So, as I was saying earlier, just like with us, um, we hold to this, to the teachings of the Prophet, and this is why we know that there's ancient wisdom in here. We can't take any of this for granted, right? Um, the dumb, deaf, and blind, not knocking anyone, but the dumb, deaf, and blind, they see this and they think nothing of it. But we know he's holding those tools because they symbolize mastery of the lower self. And so we know that if you turn him around to the side, it looks like he's wearing a headdress, but in actuality, that headdress turns into wings of the hawk that's sitting on his back, on his shoulders, that you can't even see unless you turn it around. And that's Horus. And that means that his higher self is sitting right there. He's ruling from his higher self or her higher self, right? And so all of these signs and symbols are there for a reason. You don't look, none of these things are done by chance. And it's the same way with our Holy Quran. Everything in here carries meaning and value. And if there's anything you don't understand, don't overlook it. Take your time, go back and read it. Like maybe, next time we would break this chapter up and just read like 8 verses instead of reading the whole thing so that we can gain deeper insight, right? Because even just going through the whole thing, it's like there's way more to it than what we just discussed. But we don't want to overlook it, all right? Because these are our divine instructions. Divine, meaning of or from God. And we hold dear to this, Islam. So that's all I had to share on chapter 41. But if anybody has any other insight or wants to demonstrate their 5, please feel free to speak up. I yield the floor. All right.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
I just wanted to share when you were talking about chipping away the false you to reveal the real Allah, the part of Allah inside of you. If anybody's interested, it's on YouTube. It's a video. It's called The Hero's Journey. It's something that's detailed by I can't think of his name, but he studied different folklore.
I got everything. That's probably Chanel. Good morning, Mommy.
Yeah.
How are you, son?
That looks good. I wish the other one better.
Yeah, he studied different folklore from around the world and found that in all the stories they were common themes. And he called it the hero's journey. And like during on that process, everybody has their own hero's journey. And it's not just one, it's many journeys throughout life. You could think about it as anytime you have any type of undertaking, like you leave home for some reason to go learn something on a quest, you encounter difficulties, you find out more about yourself, you gain new powers, type stuff, level up, like you see in the movies and stuff like that. But one of the things they referenced was it was a town in like China that was invaded by like Japan or somebody. I forget exactly how it goes as far as that part, but it was a golden Buddha statue, and like so that the invaders wouldn't take the statue, the monks, the priests and stuff, they like covered it in like mud and clay stones just to make it look uninteresting and nobody would take it. And like hundreds of years went by and people forgot that Buddha was golden until like somebody like accidentally bumped into it in the facade that was put around it started chipping away. And then eventually everybody remembered that the Buddha was golden after they saw it. That just goes to show like inside of us, like what we see isn't exactly who we are. as being said, and revealing the part of Allah that's in us. And it was something else I wanted to camel back off of, but I kind of forgot that point. So yeah, Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam or gratitude. Gratitude is on point. Thank you for sharing.
Islam. Islam. I just want to go over chapter 41, just a little bit, and coming back on that one. It's the inconstancy of it, even going through the whole chapter. I look at it as I struggle with that on a daily basis. I have to remind myself to get out of the inconstancy, maybe because of my horoscope sign as being the Pisces. But if you do subdue into that, everything they were saying from like 11 through 17 would actually, you know what I'm saying? That's actually how your life in turmoil will be. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, brother. Gratitude. Gratitude. On point as always. Islam. Um, if nobody else has anything they want to share on chapter 41.
Islam.
Oh, Islam.
Just it's a lovely demonstration. And what I was listening, what talked to me the most, right? I was just thinking in my head at 14, it said the inconstantly have no peace in his soul. Neither can be at ease whom he concern himself with or whatever. Not whatever. But that the first part of it, inconsistency had no peace in his soul. Now within every one of our souls is a lie, the spirit, and the lie is forever moving. You know what I mean? So when we remember that, we get closer and closer to resolution. So that right there, just like we can't never be inconstant. We just gotta focus back on, man, I gotta stay moving. I can't let these passions, these different mood swings we go through in life, that we all go through, like when it says 1 minute at noon. Hold on, that's one. At noon, he's a rag. In the morning, he rises happy. 1 hour, he's a guy. And we all go through that because we all trying to match something or find something or fulfill something. Or like in the beginning of the last chapter, instability, when it says vanity is empty. We feel like we need to fulfill something, or we got to stay busy, or we got to stay watching something, being entertained. Nah, we just got to go inside, and that's all the entertainment we need. Then that'll be at peace, and then when we come back out of it after our meditation, our prayer, whatever. Now we understand which path we need to go to. So that what made me think Islam.
Islam, definitely. That made me, just remember like how important it is to just go within and just to be. Like we're Moorish American Muslims, we practice Islamism. We practice peace with ourselves. If you don't know who you are, you can't be at peace with yourself. If you don't know who you are, and if you don't stand for nothing in this world, you fall for anything. And we are fallen. Our people have fallen. And that's why it's so important to be at these meetings and to read these chapters, because we have a holy and divine prophet who brought this knowledge, these keys. People are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for the first chapter in our Circle 7, Koran, of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And they pay all this money and they don't get it because they don't have us to demonstrate Islam. So these keys are so important. And it's like, we have to meditate. We have to take this seriously. And we have to build our communities and teach our children this, because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. Islam?
Islam. Also, I want to camel back too. With Jackson Bay was saying, as far as with the inconsistency again, that made me think of the being oriented in the Orient, and that this knowledge was in a certain location that was known as the Orient, like, and having their principles and stuff to be orientated and something to orientate to, like you saying, just being down for whatever, and um, and then like how the prophet, I think the prophet said it, was like the only way to combat the oppression that we're under is, I'm paraphrasing, of course, this is not a quote, um is the what is it, to know like your history, like your nationality, and it just goes further and further to show that Islam.
Islam. Gratitude to you all for those demonstrations. Um, Definitely on point. Um, just in alignment with what everyone's saying. Basically, if we're not actually working on subduing our lower self, we're not doing anything. We're playing games out here. Like, this isn't about filing paperwork or just claiming to be great, the more, or whatever we want to call ourselves, or changing our name, giving ourselves new names online or anything like that. Like, it's about, in addition to building up our businesses, because that's in the actual mission of the Moorish Science Temple of America, building up our economic strength, growing our own food, doing all of these things we need to take care of our earthly needs, but also, right, and this is paramount because it's all throughout our Quran, subduing our lower self. In the front of the Quran, where it tells you about the fall and creation of man, we're told about what our true destiny is. Right there, what our true destiny is, what our true heritage is, you could say. All right. Man is to lord over the plane of manifest and soul eventually. Once we conquer, when man has conquered carnal things, this garb of his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well and will fall and will be no more. Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must full complete his victories. All right. And so, eventually we're to conquer all of this. And this is setting us up for that. All right. So we actually have a greater mission, even greater than maybe than we can comprehend. All right. Because we're in the physical world. So we think this is all that there is because we have to deal with this every day. But there's an even greater reality out there. That's why I'm telling you, everybody, don't forget this. Open your third eye tonight. All right, there's a greater reality out there, even greater than this. We're here. This is like a school for us to, come here and we, accomplish what we accomplish here and we move on to the next level. All right. So this is setting us up for now and for the next level. And that's why the prophet said that Islam was prepared for our earthly and divine salvation. Right. So on earthly, it takes us out of Christianity. Once we were deemed Christians, right, we were marked as Negroes, Christian slaves. We were marked and deemed less than. So it gets us out of that from an earthly perspective, but it also sets us back up for our divine perspective. And that's also in the Quran of Mecca, whereby being a Muslim, being a true Muslim, we know that well, first off, we know that we're not born in sin. We know that in Surah 2, Ayah 30, Allah speaking to the angels, he says, behold, thy Lord said to the angels, I will create a vice regent on earth. And the angels are asking them, why are you doing this? They said, wilt thou place therein one who will make mischief therein and shed blood? Whilst we do celebrate thy praises and glorify thy holy name, he said, I know what ye know not. So the angels are like, they're beings too. They're beings that were created to serve a purpose. And they're like, well, we're here singing your praises and glorifying your name all the time. And you're going to have these things that are causing mischief. They're going to be shedding blood, right? They're going to have a lower nature. you're gonna set them up as the vice regent on earth. The vice regent is a person exercising delegated power on behalf of a sovereign or ruler. It is a person serving or regarded as an earthly representative of God, especially the Pope, right? So, from a Christian perspective, the Pope is the vice regent of God. They call him the viceroy. Matter of fact, right? We shared that. Maybe I could find that screen shot of that. The Pope vacated his title, is Viceroy of Christ. He vacated his title last year. 2020 was an amazing year. All right, the Pope vacated his title as the Viceroy of Christ, and from their perspective, that is the vice regent of God. But from our perspective, we all are, and that's actually in the Quran. Even though many Muslims don't know that are practicing Islam, we practice Islamism. We're not limited to that. We can even show them in the Quran where it says that. But yeah, the Pope vacated his title. Pope Francis drops the Viceroy of Christ title in the Vatican yearbook, and a bunch of different Catholic priests were angry about that. Like, what are you doing? And it, within their society, caused drama. It's an issue. Okay, so we're returning to this. We're all earthly representatives of Allah, and so this takes care of our earthly and divine salvation. So you have to get right. You can't leave us alone. We have to get in and work on ourselves, and we can't skip it. And we can't just read it. We have to, step by step, actually unveil Allah within, work on being more in our higher self. And that, that's a everyday process for all of us. None of us are sitting up here having mastered it all. Like that's something that we're all working on. Islam. So I want to open up the floor to questions. If people have any questions or anything that they want to announce, I yield the floor. Feel free to unmute your mic. Okay. All right, cool. That's fine too. If nobody has any questions, great. Do we have any people that are ready to join and proclaim their nationality? Islam. Islam, I thought you were trying to speak.
Islam. Yes, I'm ready to proclaim.
Islam. All right, Islam, beautiful. Okay, I'm actually gonna send you a link. Let me see. Are you in our chat on Facebook? We have a Ohio Moors chat on Messenger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm on there.
Okay, we're gonna place the link in there because now registration's all digital. So you would just go to the link and register, follow all the instructions. All right, and we'll go ahead and get you in. Islam, that's beautiful. Praise Allah.
Islam.
Islam. All right, that's beautiful. Um, yeah, if anyone else is ready to proclaim your nationality, even if it's not right now, maybe thinking about it later, you see the importance of this, feel free to send me an email. You can email us at mission 30, just mission 30, MISSION, the @mstofa.net. Mission 30 at mstofa.net. Oh, Islam. Sister Williams L said your mother is ready to join and proclaim Islam. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Islamism. Okay. So that's amazing. But yeah, if anyone is ready later on, just email me at mission30 at mstofa.net. If you're not in Ohio, then I'll link you up with the Moors near you. All right. You can still join because that link is just gonna get you to the people closest to you. Islam, brother Kobe.
Islam. Also, Yolanda Kobe. She will be joining as well in February.
Islamism. Beautiful. That's
Ah,
beautiful. Islam. All right. Islam. Praise Allah. Islam. So yeah, if nobody has anything else they want to share, I mean the floor is open. Now it's holy day. Even if you just want to say happy holy day, feel free to just get on the mic, give a shout out. It's okay. It's all good. Um, other than that, I'll talk to you more on Sunday, same time. We do this every Sunday and Friday at 7 p.m. Um, same number, same link. All right. Okay, so yeah, if nobody has anything else to say, I want to announce without further ado, we will go into the closing of the meeting. Uh, we read the additional laws. Hang on. All right, additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1, Grand Sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADUP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his five senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nations. Uh, Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and by the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Remember, faithful is the highest title that we can attain. All right, that's not in the Constitution. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah, Islam, Islamism, Brother Seymour Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam, Sheikh.
Islam.
First I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. I give honors to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and to the prophet's forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Honors to our forefathers and mothers, and to all you faithful Muslims on the call. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to the national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional law of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they're glad to see me bring you out of darkness and into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is the free national standards and power that make a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to get them back into the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. Excuse me. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy forefathers and mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. Excuse me, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and the South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the Free National Constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the Free National Constitution to be free and equal, since that Constitution has never been changed, There is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. And then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harms to human beings on earth. They have fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and I have examined the conditions there. And it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I'm hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
Islamism and gratitude, brother. Gratitude. All right. So we're going to go ahead and close out. Remember, we do this every Sunday and Friday at 7 p.m. I'll talk to you more on Sunday, same time, same channel. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Everyone, please rise for the closing prayer. We do this, we rise facing the east and heels together, 45-degree angle, like you're standing on the square. Arms perpendicular in the cactus pose, 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left, and you do not need to repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Moors. This meeting is now adjourned.
Islamism, peace and love.
Happy Holy Day, Islam.
Peace. Happy Holy
Happy
Day.
holiday. Peace and love.
Happy Holy
Peace and
Day.
love, Muslim.
Peace and love.